Hey there, it's Zach, your local wildlife guy, and today we're at Scrub Point Preserve to go check out some little wild spaces and see what kind of critters are hanging out. And we're in luck to see our very first critter because right here at the gate there's a bird sitting on the fence, and I brought my big camera with me, so let's get in close and see what it is. It's an eastern phoebe. This is a migratory bird that visits Florida in the wintertime. Look at the size of that snake skin on the tree. It probably belongs to something like a yellow rat snake, which is one of the larger snake species that we have here. Totally harmless. They get their name because they eat rats. They eat rats. So this is Scrub Point Preserve gets its name because it's all scrubland habitat. And scrubland habitat has these kind of small, kind of like scrubby looking trees, but the other really big characteristic that you'll notice is the path is mostly sandy. That's because hundreds of thousands of years ago, when there was less ice on planet Earth and seawater levels were much higher, scrublands were actually the beaches of millions of years ago. Oh, did you see that blue jay that just flew in? A lot of people don't realize this, but the blue jays that you see in the trees, blue jays are actually related to crows, and they're really good at mimicking other birds, including one of their favorite birds to mimic, the red-shouldered hawk. So a lot of times blue jays will fly towards other birds and start mimicking a hawk, which eats other birds, and so the other birds kind of freak out. So blue jays are kind of prankster birds. So this is pretty cool. You'll sometimes notice these little divots in the sand. This is, I don't know, just the size of my fingertip. It's really, really, really tiny. And there's another one right here. What a lot of people don't realize is what's making these kinds of divots. And they can get bigger or smaller, but they're usually about this size. This is the larva of a type of fly called an antlion. The reason they're called antlions is because in the middle of that pit, there is a little bug, the antlion itself. And they make these pits so whenever an ant comes crawling along right around the edge of the pit, what they'll do is they'll flick sand up onto them to try to knock the ant down into the pit, and then they'll catch them with their pincers. You can see a little paw print here from probably a raccoon. There's some more prints right here as well. So another cool thing about this area is that you're allowed to bring your horses here. So you'll occasionally find horse prints in the sand from people taking their horses out. There's a grasshopper right here. He blends in really, really, really well. I'm gonna tap him. Now, I don't know my grasshopper species too well, but this one's really pretty, and you can see that kind of cryptic coloration. It looks like this grasshopper, it looks like sand. So this is definitely the right habitat for this animal because he's gonna blend right in. Normally a grasshopper like this would make a really tasty meal for something like a bird or maybe like an armadillo that might be out here. But with that camouflage cryptic coloration, he's gonna blend right in and be really hard to see. One of the things I like to keep in consideration whenever I'm visiting a place like this is, what do I need to wear? We're in Florida. There's no mountains here, so you probably don't need to wear hiking boots, though you certainly can if you want to. They might just be a little warm. I'm currently wearing Crocs while we're visiting here, and I'm getting along just fine. So right here on this stick, this might not look like much, but this is one of the most venomous animals in Florida. This is a woolly bear caterpillar. You can see it kind of looks like a mustache sitting here, or a big fat eyebrow. Now these fluffy caterpillars, these are the ones you do not want to touch. The hairs are made of kind of a fiberglass-like substance, and if it penetrates your skin, which it will, it's incredibly painful and itchy. So this is one of my most favorite plants in all of Florida, and it might be one of your favorite plants too after I tell you about it. This here is an American beautyberry, and you notice them because of those bright purple berries that they have. So you can take a beautyberry leaf and you can take it and crush it up a little bit and get some of the oils to express. It just smells kind of minty, just a little bit minty. You can actually rub it on yourself And the reason I suggest doing this is because beautyberry leaves have a natural insecticide in them that is a good insect repellent to keep bugs like mosquitoes away from you. So if you forget your bug spray, you can find some of these purple berries and you can pull off a few of the leaves and just crush them up and just rub them onto you. So a lot of times you'll find holes like this maybe in your backyard or around the woods. These are actually from raccoons. What they do is they catch the scent of something, their noses are really good, and they just start digging for it. It could be a grub or maybe a mole, something like that that they're looking for, and they'll dig down to try to catch it and eat it. It's a little hard to see with the camera, but there's a 6-lined race runner moving through here, which is a type of skink. So it's a type of lizard that lives on and underground, and there happens to be one under these bushes. So right above me, that right there is a staghorn fern. I don't think I've ever actually seen one in the wild before. You a lot of times see people hanging these from trees kind of in a big metal basket, and that's what this is, but this is it growing naturally in the wild, and people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for these plants sometimes. This is a gopher tortoise burrow. And gopher tortoises are incredibly important to Florida's ecosystem. They're what's called a keystone species. That means that they have a disproportionately large effect on their ecosystem. And that's because burrows like this are used by hundreds of other different animals that live and breed and sometimes spend their entire life cycle in these burrows. This burrow has been abandoned by its gopher tortoise. That doesn't mean nobody lives here. It just means that a gopher tortoise doesn't live here. It's not unusual whatsoever to find something like a snake sitting out here sunning itself before it starts hunting for the day, or see other reptiles like lizards and skinks all sunning themselves. There are lots of different frogs that live in here at night, as well as several different species of bug and even mice that live in here. I hope that you enjoyed this little trip outside and that you got to see some nature that maybe you've never seen before or didn't even know about. Something that maybe inspires you to come out here and look for stuff yourself. I know we looked at a lot of bugs today because that's what we were able to find, but you never know what you can find out in nature. So I'm Zach Cole, and I'll see you out there.